Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome to another Stanley Cup Finals rematch. So today's episode, we're going to take it back to one of the best Stanley Cup Finals of the 2000s, in my opinion, that being the 2001 final between the New Jersey Devils and the Colorado Avalanche. So the 2000 and 2001 finals were quite intriguing, to say the least. In 2000, the New Jersey Devils would knock off the defending Stanley Cup champions in the Dallas Stars to win their first Stanley Cup since 1995. While in 2001, the Colorado Avalanche would knock off the defending champs in New Jersey to win their first cup since 1996. Also, side note that New Jersey used to be the Colorado Rockies from 1976 to 1982, so I'd expect that there would actually be some Devils fans that lived in Colorado at this point in time. So now, how did both teams get to the finals in 2001? Well, let's start off with how they did during the regular season. So both these teams were top 5 in the league in terms of how they finished with points. Colorado finished with a record of 52, 16, 10, and 4 for 118 points. That was good enough to win the President's Trophy that season. They would finish 4th in goals for with 270 and finished tied for third with 192 goals against. Their power play clicked at 22.04%, which was good for third. However, they kind of struggled a bit on the penalty kill, going 82.75%, which was good for 19th. Now, the New Jersey Devils finished third behind the Avs and the Red Wings with a 48, 19, 12, and 3 record. Unlike their 2003 Cup win, they were actually pretty fantastic offensively, as they would finish first in goals for with 295 and finished 6th in goals against with 195. Coming with the success of their offense came the first best power play in the league at 22.9%. But like the Avs, they kind of struggled a bit on the penalty kill and would finish 12th best in the league with an 84.69%. Now on the playoff front, the Devils would go through Ron Francis and the Carolina Hurricanes in round 1 in 6 games. Then they would take out Matt Sundin and the Toronto Maple Leafs in round 2 in 7 games. And then in the conference finals, they would take out the 121-point Jaromir Jagr in the Pittsburgh Penguins in 5 games to advance to their second straight Stanley Cup Finals appearance. As for the Colorado Avalanche, they would sweep Marcus Naslund and the Vancouver Canucks in round 1. Then in round 2, they would win against former teammate Adam Deadmarsh in the Los Angeles Kings, who actually knocked out Detroit, I believe, that season. So they were actually kind of an underrated team. And then they would knock out the St. Louis Blues in the conference finals in 5 games to advance to the Stanley Cup Finals. Now this Cup Finals went the full 7-game distance. Colorado would jump out to a 5-0 win in game number 1, with both Joe Sakic and Rob Blake picking up 3 points each. As for game 2, the Devils would bounce back with a 2-1 victory as they managed to play a much better defensive game. All 3 of those goals came in period number 1. Game number 3, the series would shift into New Jersey, but the Avs would win 3-1 with a pair of third period goals from Ray Bourque and Diane Heino. Game 4, the Devils would once again rebound with a 3-2 victory on a late goal from Peter Sikora that came in the final 3 minutes of play. The Devils would continue their momentum into game number 5, where they would win 4-1 in Colorado. Now going into game 6, the Avs had their back against the wall in New Jersey, but Colorado would silence the crowd with a nice 4-0 win. So big performance there from Patrick Waugh as well. Adam Foote would have 3 points in the victories, so he came through in the clutch there as well. And Marty Brodeur struggled in that game, letting 4 goals in on 18 shots. Now game 7 was back in Colorado, and they didn't look back as they would pick up 3 goals in the first 30 minutes of the game. And then Sikora would add one for the Devils, but it would be way too much for the Devils to come back from. And Ray Bourque would win his first Stanley Cup in 22 NHL seasons. Okay, so now that you guys have a bit of a breakdown of how each team got to the finals, let's get into the jerseys, and then we'll get into the rosters before we start up the simulation. So here are the home jerseys for the New Jersey Devils. As you can see, it's just a white jersey. You guys would have seen this exact same jersey in the 2003 finals if you watched that episode. And then here is their away one, which is the red one. They did not have an alternate this season, and they didn't really have an alternate much in their history. Now we get into the jerseys for the Colorado Avalanche, who won the Stanley Cup this season and in 1996. We did that episode also back in NHL 18. If you guys want to go watch, you could go check it out. It's quite far back, but I'll put an eye in the corner if you want to go watch that. But yeah, anyways, this is their home jersey. As you can see, it's pretty much stayed the same for most of their time. Like, it changed a bit when Reebok came in, but other than that, it's been pretty similar throughout. And then this is their away jersey, which is the nice burgundy one. I actually have a jersey coming in the mail from eBay that I literally just bought like not that long ago of Alex Tanguay, so I'm really excited for that one to come in. But now that you guys have seen the jerseys, let's get into the roster, starting off with the New Jersey Devils. Okay, before we actually get into these rosters, I just want to let you guys know that these lines are based off of Game 7, which I found a YouTube video of it, so these lines might not be 100% accurate, like this line might have been the first line. I don't know how it worked, but this is basically what I picked up from the video. So on the first line left wing here, we have Sergei Nemchinov, who is looking for his 3rd Stanley Cup, as he also won in 1994 with the New York Rangers, and then he also won in 2000 with the New Jersey Devils. In 65 regular season games, the 37-year-old had 8 goals and 22 assists for 30 points. He was also a plus 11 and had 16 penalty minutes. This would be his second last NHL season, as he would leave for Russia at the end of the 2001-02 season. Then at center here, we have the 21-year-old Alaska native, and that is Scott Gomez, who had a fantastic rookie season the year prior with 70 points in 82 games, as well as winning the Stanley Cup. But as for this season, he had 76 games played and 63 points, so he was pretty much on the same pace as the year prior. And then in the playoffs, he also did pretty well, putting up 14 points in 25 games, only to lose in 7 games in the final. Scott would get his second and last Stanley Cup in 2003, as you would know if you watched the 2003 episode against the Anaheim Mighty Ducks. Now on the right side here, we have Alexander Mogilny, who is still not in the Hall of Fame, which is pretty weird because this guy was a really underrated player. Anyways, hopefully he makes it sometime soon. Mogilny was in his last season in New Jersey, as he had 83 points in 75 games this year, 43 of which were goals. In the playoffs, he would put up 5 goals and 11 assists for 16 points in 25 games. In the 2001 offseason, he would sign with the Toronto Maple Leafs. On the second line left wing here, we have Patrik Elias, who had the best season of his career this year, hence the 88 overall. Anyways, Elias had 40 goals and 56 assists for 96 points in 82 games this year. He was also a plus 45 and had 51 penalty minutes. In the playoffs, he didn't slow down really at all either, putting up 9 goals and 14 assists for 23 points in 25 games. This was the only year he actually made the NHL All-Star game, which also took place in Colorado. At center here, we have Jason Arnott, who scored the cup-winning goal in 2000 against the defending cup champion in the Dallas Stars. Arnott missed a lot of the season, playing only 54 games, but he still managed to put up 21 goals and 34 assists for 55 points. He was also a plus 23 and had 75 penalty minutes. As for the playoffs, in 23 games, he put up 8 goals and 7 assists for 15 points. He would never get another Stanley Cup after the one he won in 2000. On the right wing, we have Peter Sikora, who was also in the 2003 Stanley Cup Finals rematch episode, but he was on the Ducks, so he kind of switched sides. Anyway, like Elias, Peter Sikora had a fantastic season. This one actually was his best season as well. He would put up 35 goals and 46 assists for 81 points in 73 games. He was also a plus 36 and had 32 penalty minutes. In 25 playoff games, he put up 10 goals and 12 assists for 22 points and was a plus 15. Sikora would get his name on the cup for the second time in 2009 with the Pittsburgh Penguins. Now on the third line left wing here, we have Jay Pandolfo, who was a very solid two-way forward. Jay played 63 games this year with 4 goals and 12 assists for 16 points. In the playoffs, he would add 1 goal and 4 assists for 5 points. He also was a player that didn't take a whole lot of penalty minutes, as in 899 career games, he only took 164 penalty minutes. The most penalty minutes he took in a season was 23 penalty minutes, and the least was 4 penalty minutes that he took in 71 games, so this guy just didn't go to the box that often. At center here, we have the veteran in Bobby Holik, who was in his 9th season with the Devils. Holik played 80 games this season with 15 goals and 35 assists for 50 points. He was also a plus 19 and had 97 penalty minutes. He was also a pretty big guy, coming in at 6'4", 230 pounds. He was pretty much the prototypical power forward with his size and the ability to put up points. This was his second last season in New Jersey, as in 2002-03 he would head to the Rangers. In these playoffs, he had 16 points in 25 games. On the right side here, we have Turner Stevenson, who was acquired from Columbus in the offseason after Columbus actually claimed him in the expansion draft from the Montreal Canadiens. New Jersey would send enforcer Christoph Oliwa and defenseman Darren Quint the opposite direction. In his first season in New Jersey, Turner had 8 goals and 18 assists for 26 points in 69 games. He would also win his first Stanley Cup in 2003 with the Devils. Now into the fourth line, left wing, we have Sergei Brylin, who I mentioned in the 2003 final was a very streaky player in terms of his production. Well, in 75 games this season, Brylin had 23 goals and 29 assists for 52 points, which was a career high. He would drop considerably in point production by the cup-winning 2003 season, where he only had 19 points in 52 games. Brylin was a part of all 3 of the New Jersey Devils Stanley Cup wins from 1995, 2000, and 2003. At center, we have John Madden, who was in his 3rd season in the NHL. Madden improved upon his previous season, putting up 23 goals and 38 points. He was also very very good defensively, so this year he took home the Selke as the best defensive forward, and in 25 playoff games this year he had 7 points, so he wasn't as good in the playoffs this year as he was in the 2003 final, but he was still a very good defensive player. And to wrap up the dress forwards, we have veteran Bob Corkum, who was in his second last NHL season. Corkum was acquired from the Los Angeles Kings this season for future considerations, which turned out to be Steve Kelly. Corkum wasn't really much of an offensive player in the means of his production, but he did actually have one really good offensive season with the inaugural Anaheim Mighty Ducks in 1994, where he would put up 51 points. After that, he would never put up more than 21 points in a season. These playoffs, he played in 12 games where he had 3 points, including 1 goal in these finals. Bob was also briefly an assistant coach of the New York Islanders from 2014-15 to 2016-17. Now we get into the defensive core for the Devils. We have Scott Niedermayer, who missed a lot of the season actually this year, playing only 57 games. However, he still put up 35 points during that span. While playoff-wise, unlike 2003, he didn't really do much in terms of offense, as he had 6 assists and no goals in 21 games, by comparison to his 18 points in 24 playoff games 2 years later. Next, we have his defensive partner, that being Brian Rafalski, who was in his second NHL season. In 78 games, he had 9 goals and 43 assists for 52 points. That was an increase of 20 points from his rookie season in 99-2000. He was also a plus 36 and had 26 penalty minutes, and he also did his part in the playoffs this year, putting up 7 goals and 11 assists for 18 points in 25 games. A lot of people also don't realize that he actually played in Finland before he came over to the NHL. On to the second pairing, we have the 36-year-old Scott Stevens, who put up 31 points in 81 games this season and was a plus 40. As I mentioned in the 2003 finals, Stevens was very good defensively, and he actually never had a minus season in the NHL in 22 seasons that he played. This was his second best plus minus, as in 1994 he was a plus 53. He also won the Conn Smythe the year prior with the Devils when they won the Cup. Next up, we have his defensive partner, that being Ken Danica, who spent his entire career as a New Jersey Devil. As I mentioned in the 2003 final, he was a very solid defensive defender, pretty much like Scott Stevens. He also took a lot of penalty minutes. This season, he had no goals and 4 assists in 77 games, as well as 87 penalty minutes, and he was also a plus 8. He would also have no goals in the playoffs, so altogether he did not score goals in 102 straight games. He also actually had no goals in all of 2001-02 as well, so he barely scored goals near the end of his career. The season prior to this, he also actually won the Bill Masterton Award. Now into the top 6 pairing, we have Sean O'Donnell, who was in our 2007 Stanley Cup Finals rematch way back in NHL 18, if any of you were watching way back then. Anyway, Sean was a very solid defensive defenseman like the other two that we just mentioned, who came in at a whopping 238 pounds, so he was a pretty big boy. Sean played 1,224 career games with 31 goals and 198 assists for 229 points. He was also a career plus 87 and had 1,809 penalty minutes, so he was actually quite physical like the other two as well. So these three are pretty much all very similar players. He actually came over from Minnesota this season for the young defenseman in Willie Mitchell, because Willie Mitchell was originally drafted by the Devils, I think, and then he was flipped for Sean O'Donnell. Sean would leave the Devils, I think, at the end of the season and go to a different team, because he was with quite a bit of teams over his career. And to wrap up the dress defenders, we have Colin White, who was in his second NHL season, and this one was also his most successful year point-wise and defensively. He would have 20 points, and he was also a plus 32 during the regular season. He also put up 155 penalty minutes, and then he also continued that trend of a lot of penalty minutes and solid defensively, where he was a plus 7 in the playoff, and he also put up 42 penalty minutes. White would be a part of each cup wins in 2000 and 2003. Now we get into the goaltenders, and once again, you guys should all know him. It is Martin Brodeur. Brodeur played 72 games this season with a 42-17-11 record. He had 9 shutouts at 2.32 goals against average and a 906 save percentage. He also finished third in the Vezina race. In the playoffs, he would go 15-10 with a 2.07 goals against average, 4 shutouts, and an 897 save percentage. Now, I think the main reason his save percentage was so low is because in the finals, he let in quite a bit of goals to the Avs on not a lot of shots, so I think that's probably what made his save percentage go down a lot, or go up a lot, whatever you want to say. And his backup this year is John Van Beesbrook, who is back in the 1996 finals against the Avs, so this was his second time playing the Avs in the Finals, but he actually never played a playoff game this year with the Devils because Marty Brodeur started a lot of games over the 90s. Like this season, he played, like I said, 72 games in a regular season, and then he played all the playoffs, so he was playing a lot more than the backup. But anyways, Van Beesbroek was acquired from the Islanders this season in exchange for Chris Terreri, who was serving as the backup at the start of the regular season, as well as a 2001 9th round pick, which didn't really become anything huge. As I was mentioning, he did not play at all during these playoffs, but he did play 4 games during the regular season. This year, he would go 4-0 with the New Jersey Devils with a 1.5 goals against average and a .935 save percentage. I believe also one of those wins was a shutout. He would then retire in this offseason, only to come out of retirement in February 2002 to sign again with New Jersey, but once again, he would retire at the end of the offseason, but this time it was for good. Now we move into our depth skaters. We have Jim McKenzie, who also was in the 2003 Finals rematch. He, like I was saying in that episode, was more of an enforcer player that had a pretty decently long career up to this point. Jim played 53 regular season games this year with only 4 points in 119 penalty minutes. He would only play in 3 playoff games this year as well. Next up, we have Randy McKay, who had a solid regular season with 43 points in 77 games as a 34-year-old. However, in Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals, McKay would fracture his left hand and missed the remainder of the season, so that was a big loss for the Devils. In those 19 playoff games, though, that he did play, he had 9 points. He was also a part of the 95 Stanley Cup win and the 2000 Cup win as well. In 932 career games, McKay had 363 points, was a +88, and had 1,731 penalty minutes. Now to wrap up the depth players we have for the Devils, we have Ken Sutton, who is mostly a fringe NHL defenseman, but he also had some success at the AHL level. This season, Ken played 53 games with 1 goal and 7 assists for 8 points. Due to the lack of games he played in 2000, he was ineligible to put his name on the Stanley Cup, so by the end of his NHL career, he actually never won a Stanley Cup. By 2004, he would leave the NHL for Germany, where he spent 3 seasons with ERC Ingolstadt. So now that you guys know the New Jersey Devils, let's get into the lines for the Stanley Cup winning Colorado Avalanche. Okay, so on the first line left wing here, we have 21-year-old Alex Tanguay, who had 2 big goals in Game 7 to help the Avs to their Stanley Cup win. Alex had a fantastic second season in the NHL with 77 points in 82 games. He was also just as good in the playoffs with 21 points in 23 games, en route to his first and only Stanley Cup win. His younger brother Maxime was actually a 3rd round pick of the Blackhawks in 2007, but unfortunately he never made it to the NHL. While Alex played 1,088 career games and had 283 goals, 580 assists for 863 points. He was also a career plus 163 and had 527 penalty minutes. At center here we have the captain, veteran Joe Sakic, who had his second best NHL season with 54 goals and 64 assists for 118 points in 82 games. That was good for second place in the NHL, just behind Jaromir Jagr. He was also dominant in the playoffs with 13 goals and 13 assists for 26 points in 21 playoff games. This year he would take home the Lady Byng, the Hart, and the Pearson. The Hall of Famer would retire in 2008-09 with 625 career goals, 1,016 career assists for 1,641 points, which places him 9th all-time. So on the right wing here we have Dan Heinold, who started Game 7 on this line but was more of a bottom 6 player for his entire career. Dan is one of 2 Florida-born players to have a playoff goal. That is until Quinn Hughes scores one, if Quinn Hughes gets scored one this playoff year. Anyways, Heino played 503 career games with 90 points, being a career -16 and had 383 penalty minutes, so he was more of a grinder, not really an offensive guy at all. However, he managed to put up 6 points this playoff season. So I also actually saw a tweet from Steve Dangle that said that of Dan's 38 career goals, 10 of them were game winners. He also made a pun that said that they were games that ended on a high note. It's a funny joke, but anyways, so yeah, Dan was more of one of those role players that you'd have on the bottom 6 that could also kind of jump up in your lineup and maybe contribute. Now on the second line here, we have Ville Nieminen, who was also in our 2004 Stanley Cup Finals rematch back in NHL 18. He was with the Flames at that point. This was Ville's first full season in the NHL, as he only played 1 game in the year prior. In 50 games this season, Ville had 14 goals and 8 assists for 22 points. He was also a +8 and had 38 penalty minutes. Nieminen actually stepped up a lot in the playoffs because there was an injury to Peter Forsberg during this playoff run. In 23 playoff games, Nieminen had 10 points and 4 of them were goals, so he was pretty solid to come in and live up, not necessarily to Forsberg standards, but he was still a decent enough player to help out and get that cup win for the Colorado Avalanche. Then at center here we have Chris Drury, who won the Calder 2 seasons before this in 1998-99. This year Drury would have 65 points in 71 games this season and 11 goals and 5 assists for 16 points in 23 playoff games. This was his second last season in Colorado before he would be dealt to Calgary at the start of the 2002-03 season. Chris's older brother Ted actually played in the NHL as well from 1993-94 to 2001. In 892 career games, the Connecticut native had 255 goals, 360 assists for 615 points. He was also a -6 and had 468 penalty minutes. Now on the right wing here we have Milan Hajduk, who was in his third NHL season. This year he would put up 41 goals and 38 assists for 79 points in 80 games. He was also a big contributor this postseason with 7 goals and 16 assists for 23 points in 23 games. Milan was kind of an underrated player in my opinion, as in 1,020 career games he had 375 goals and 805 points. He was also career plus 101 and had 316 penalty minutes. He actually also won the Maurice Richard in 2002-03 with a 50 goal season, and he was originally a 4th round pick by the Nordiques back in 1994. Now on the third line left wing here we have Eric Messier, who is no relation to Mark. Eric was both a defenseman and a forward over his career. He played 406 career games between Colorado and Florida. During that span he had 25 goals, 50 assists for 75 points. He also had 146 penalty minutes and was only a -1. So in all he was kind of like a solid role player to have for your bottom 6 when he was a forward, and a solid top 6 defenseman when he was a defenseman. Then at center here we have Stefan Yell, who was a part of our 1996 Stanley Cup win with the Colorado Avalanche. He was also in 2004 I think with the Flames. Anyways, Yell was pretty much a third liner for his entire career, as he never had more than 27 points in a season, but he was also one of those good role players that were good at face-offs and could contribute offensively sometimes. In 991 career games, he had 96 goals and 169 assists for 265 points. He was also career plus 7 and had 490 penalty minutes. And as I was just mentioning, Yell actually almost had 3 Stanley Cups but lost in 2004 with the Calgary Flames, so he came close to winning another one a couple years later after this. On the right side here we have Sean Poden, which is kind of a weird way of spelling Sean with that J. But anyways, he had an 11-year NHL career that lasted from 92-93 to 2002-03. This year he tied a career high with 32 points in 82 games. He'd actually also win the King Clancy Award this season. In 699 career games, Sean had 100 goals and 106 assists for 206 points. He was also a plus 62 and had 439 penalty minutes. He also played in Edmonton, Philadelphia, and St. Louis, so once again more of a role player. Now we get into the fourth line. We have enforcer Chris DINGMAN, who would win a second Stanley Cup in 2004 with the Tampa Bay Lightning, so he won 2 cups in a span of 3 seasons. DINGMAN was originally a pick of the Flames back in 1994 at 19th overall, so he was actually a pretty early pick, but he didn't really become an offensive player. He was more, like I said, an enforcer, because he played 385 career games with only 15 goals and 19 assists for 34 points, but he did have 769 penalty minutes. In 52 career playoff games, he had 7 points and 100 penalty minutes, so he was just a very physical player. Now at center here we have Steve REINPRECHT, who actually came over with Rob Bullock this season from the Los Angeles Kings in a pretty big blockbuster deal that I'll get to in a bit when I get to Rob Blake. But anyways, Steve played 663 career games with 140 goals, 242 assists for 382 points. He was also career plus 21 and had 186 penalty minutes. This was his first full season in the NHL, as he was an undrafted signing of the Kings. He would leave the NHL in 2012 for Germany, where he would play with the Nuremberg Thomas Sabo Ice Tigers till 2018. And finally, to wrap up the dress forwards, we have Dave Reed, who won his first Stanley Cup back in 1999 with the Dallas Stars. He'd win his second Stanley Cup on this season, and then he would also retire just like Ray Bourque. Reed also played in Boston and Toronto in his career. In 961 career games, he had 165 goals, 204 assists for 369 points. He was also a career plus 54 and had 253 penalty minutes. This season, Reed only had 1 goal and 10 assists in 73 games because he was getting older, so he was dropping a lot in production and probably not getting as much ice time. Playoff-wise though, he managed to put up 4 assists in 18 games, so he almost had what he had during the regular season in way less games. Now into the defensive core, we have Raymond Bourque, or Ray Bourque, who finally got his name on the Stanley Cup this season after 22 years. Pretty remarkable story, and one of the Stanley Cup Finals I wish I would have been able to see live, but I was not a hockey fan at this point in time, because I would have only been like 5 years old at the point in time. But anyways, Bourque was 40 years old this season, yet he still could play like his young self. He was actually acquired the season before this ELIAS from the Boston Bruins, where he put up 14 points in 14 games down the stretch in 1999-2000, and then he would also add 9 in 13 playoff games that year as well. Then in 2001, he would finish second in Norris voting despite being 40 years old, where he would put up 59 points in 80 games. He'd also add 10 points in 21 playoff games this season, en route to his first Stanley Cup. Bourque's career numbers rank still first all-time in defensive scoring with 1,579 points in 1,612 games. Not to mention he was also very good defensively because he was a plus 527. Now we get into his defensive partner, that being Adam Foote, who would take home his second Stanley Cup as he was also a member of the 1996 team that won against the Florida Panthers. Foote was more of a defensively minded defenseman, but he could still pick up the odd assist. In 1,154 career games, Foote had 66 goals, 242 assists for 308 points. He was also a career plus 99 and had 1,534 penalty minutes. These playoffs, he had 3 goals and 4 assists for 7 points in 23 games. He also actually missed a lot of the regular season due to his shoulder injury, as he only played 35 games this season with 15 points. Next on to the top 4, we have 21-year-old Martin Skula, who was more of a defensively minded defenseman, but he still had 25 points in 82 games this season. He actually scored 21 of his 44 career goals in his first 164 games, and that means he would only score 23 more goals in the next 612 games, so he was better offensively earlier on with a more studded offensive team than he was when he went to like Anaheim and like New Jersey and I think Pittsburgh as well. He would leave the NHL at the end of the 2009-10 season, where he would play in the KHL and in Czech Republic till 2014-15. Next we have Hall of Famer Rob Blake, who the Avalanche acquired this season from the Los Angeles Kings. As I was just saying a bit earlier, this was a pretty big blockbuster deal. So basically Blake and REINPRECHT headed to Colorado from Los Angeles. Going the other way was Adam Deadmarsh, who was a very good underrated player, as well as Aaron Miller, so a solid defenseman. Jared Allen, who was kind of young at this point, so he's more of a bottom 6 kind of guy. And then 2 first-round picks. Now the interesting thing about these 2 first-round picks, the first one, David Steckel in 2001, he never played with the Avalanche, but he did play 1 season with their AHL affiliate, I believe. And then the next pick in 2003 became Brian Boyle, who actually had a somewhat of a serviceable career with the Los Angeles Kings before he moved on to like the Rangers, the Devils, and the Predators and stuff like that. But yeah, basically Brian Boyle was a part of that deal, so kind of interesting. This would be the only cup Rob would win. As you guys would know, in 1993, he was also with the Los Angeles Kings, which was literally the last episode. And yeah, he lost to the Montreal Canadiens and his now teammate in Patrick Wall. Rob would return to LA in 2006-07 for 2 seasons before he would retire in the San Jose Sharks organization in 2009-10. Now we get into the top 6. We have Greg DeVries, who played 13 years in the NHL. Greg was more of a defenseman that could also pick up the occasional assist, but not as good as somebody like Adam Foote. In 878 career games, he had 48 goals, 146 assists for 194 points. He was also a career plus 23 and had 780 penalty minutes. This season, he had 17 points in 79 games. He actually only had 1 assist this playoff run though, but he was a plus 5, so he was kind of doing his part defensively to win the cup. Greg also played with Edmonton, Nashville, New York Rangers, Ottawa, and Atlanta. He would retire in 2008-09. And now to wrap up the dress defensemen for the Avs, we have John Clem, who was a part of each of their cup wins in 96 and in 2001. Clem was a stay-at-home defender, but he was kind of an underrated one in that, as in 773 career games, he had 142 points, he was a plus 73, and had 436 penalty minutes. Clem also played in Chicago, Dallas, and Los Angeles. These playoffs, he had 3 points, was a plus 7 in 22 games, so he was also doing his part defensively just like Greg DeVries. In 105 career playoff games, he was a career plus 17, so he was kind of stepping it up big defensively in a lot of teams' crucial games, especially the Avs, when they would get to the postseason. Next, we get into the goaltenders, and that is a top 3 goalie of all time that you guys know from last episode as well, that being Patrick Wall. This year, Patrick went 40, 13, and 7 in 62 games with a 2.22 goals against average and a .913 save percentage. He also accumulated 4 shutouts over that span. He would finish 5th in Vezina voting. However, these playoffs, he would win the Conn Smythe going 16-7 with a 1.7 goals against average and a .934 save percentage. He also would pick up 4 this postseason, so basically tying what he did during the regular season in terms of shutouts. in way less games. This would also be his third Stanley Cup win and his third Conn Smythe of his career. Next we get into the backup. That is the young David Abisher, who was in his first NHL season this year. The Swiss goaltender had a great regular season, going 12-7-3 in 26 games with a 2.24 goals against average and a .903 save percentage. He'd also add 3 shutouts in that span, so it could have been an Avs defense, but both goalies were playing fantastic. He would actually not have that long of an NHL career, as he only played till 2007-08. Most of the time was with the Avs, but he also played briefly in Montreal and 1 game with the Phoenix Coyotes in 07-08 before he would return home to Switzerland. He actually also did return to the AHL briefly in 2011-12 with the St. John's Ice Caps, who were the Jets affiliate. So yeah, he was briefly back in the AHL, but then he would return back again to Switzerland. Now we get into the depth. We have depth defenseman Brian Muir, who acted more of like a 7th defenseman for his entire career, as in a 10-year span he only played 279 career games, so an average of like 28 games a season, which is not that much. His best statistical season came in 05-06 with the Washington Capitals, where he would put up 26 points in 72 games. He was actually acquired from the Tampa Bay Lightning this season for an 8th round pick. Next up we have depth forward, that being Scotty Parker, who was an enforcer who came in at 6'5", 240 pounds, so another pretty big guy on this team. Scott played 308 career games between Colorado and San Jose, with 7 goals, 14 assists for 21 points. He was also a career +4 and had 699 penalty minutes, so he was not too bad defensively for an enforcer. This year alone, he played 69 games with 155 penalty minutes. Also, according to Hockey Reference, he averaged no more than 6 minutes and 37 seconds of ice time in his entire career, so he was getting less than 5 minutes a game most games he played, which is not a lot of ice time at all, considering nowadays most 4th liners get at least like 9 minutes. He was getting like half that. And now finally, to wrap up the Colorado Avalanche, we have Hall of Famer Peter Forsberg, who suffered an injury in these playoffs, so he missed all of the Cup Finals, and that's the main reason I have him scratched. I would have had him in the lineup, but we need to go for realism, so he's scratched in this point. But Forsberg played 73 regular season games this year with 27 goals and 62 assists for 89 points, so he was well over point per game, as well as in 11 playoff games this year he would put up 14 points. In 708 career games, Forsberg had 885 points, and in his career playoffs, he also had 171 points in 151 games, so this guy was stepping up big time in the playoffs just as much as he was during a regular season. Forsberg was all around a game changer of a player, and if he would have been healthy this entire playoffs, I think the Avs would have won the Stanley Cup Finals in less games than 7, but you never know. I could have done a simulation with him in the lineup, but at the same time, it just makes it kind of cheap, because then the Avs are way better offensively, I think. But yeah, so now that you guys know the rosters, let's get into the simulation for this 2001 rematch and see who comes out on top. Okay guys, so here we go. We have the 2001... Okay guys, so here we go. We have the 2001 Stanley Cup Finals rematch. It looks a little weird because for some reason you can't change who's the Western Conference and who's the East. So it says Colorado's the East, but they would have been the West. And yeah, New Jersey, it says is the West, but they would have been the East. We just had to do it like that because Colorado would get home ice this way. So anyways, let's hop into this Stanley Cup Finals rematch and see who comes out on top. Hopefully Colorado wins again, because I don't want to take away Ray Bourque's Stanley Cup, because that was a pretty big moment in NHL history. So here we go. First period of game number 1, and it's 3-1 Devils. So a pretty good offensive start for the Devils, way better than their real life simulation for game 1. So Corkum scores, which is a 4th liner, so that's kind of weird. Bobby Holik, a 3rd liner, scores to make it 2-0. Greg DeVries, top 6 defenseman, somehow beats Brodeur. And then Sergei Nemchinov makes it 3-1. Shots are 8-6 in favor of the Devils. Let's see what happens here in a second. And it's still 3-1 Devils. Okay. I mean, if the Devils take game 1, it's not the end of the world. Like, if this year still goes all 7 games, it'll be good, because I want to kind of have an accurate simulation in terms of this. But at the same time, as long as we get maybe a pretty similar outcome. So here we go, 3rd period, and that's probably going to write it off for game 1. Scott Stevens makes it 4-1 for the Devils. Power play for the Avs. Can they get some goals to get them excited for next game? Because they're going to lose home ice advantage with this loss. And it's going to be a 4-1 victory for the New Jersey Devils in game number 1. Not a good game from Patrick Waugh, but a great game from Martin Brodeur, 2 of the best 3 goalies in NHL history. So Corkum from O'Donnell and Pandolfo, Holik from ELIAS and Sikora, DeVries from Hayduk and Drury, Nemchinov from Gomez and Mogilny, and Stevens from Madden and Corkum. So it looks like a lot of the lines actually contributed for the Devils. BRODEUR gets first star, Corkum gets second star, and Holik the third. Okay, hopefully we see the big guys of the Avs step up because they have a lot of good offensive players, obviously, with like SAKIC and Bork, Tanguay, Hayduk, etc. So let's get into Game 2 and see if the Avs can tie up the series on home ice, or are they going to be going down 0-2 headed to New Jersey, which would not be good for them. First period, and wow, a lot of offense, and it's 4-3 Devils after one. This is not a goaltender's duel, even though it should have been in real life. So DINGMAN makes it 1-0 for Colorado. Then Gomez will tie it up 4 minutes later. And then Holik will give the Devils the lead 2-1. Then Avs would retain the lead with Hayduk and SAKIC scoring 2 quick goals. But then O'Donnell will score to tie the game up. And Alexander Mogilny will give the Devils the lead. That's 4 goals on 12 shots for Patrick Wall, which is not good at all. And 3 goals on 8 shots for Martin Brodeur. So both goalies not doing really what they did in real life. Let's see what happens here in the second, and it's going to be a 5-5 game. Jeez. This is quite the game. Podine ties it up at 4-4. Holik then regains the lead for the Devils, but SAKIC reties it up again. Both goalies have been really bad so far. Let's see what happens here in the third. Will the Avs manage to weather the storm that the Devils are throwing at them? Turner Stevenson makes it 6-5 Devils. Will the Avs be able to tie it up? And Mogilny makes it 7-5. That's not good for the Avs at this point. Come on, Avs. I want you guys to win because the Avs actually were like my second team when I first started watching hockey. And it's going to be a 7-5 win for the New Jersey Devils. So Patrick Wall allowing 7 goals on 37 shots. Marty Brodeur somehow gets the win even though he played like trash. So there's all the goals. I'm not going to read all those out because that was a lot of offense that game. 3 stars in that game. Mogilny has 5 points. Gets first star. Holik will get second star with 2 goals and 1 assist. And SAKIC to third with 2 goals. Okay, so Patrick Waugh needs to play a bit better. And the defense of the Avs needs to play better if they want to win the series. Because now we're shifting to New Jersey, where New Jersey has a 2-0 series lead at the moment. And Alexander Mogilny is absolutely killing it with 6 points in 2 games. So here we go. Game number 3 in New Jersey. Will the Avs be able to take some games here on the road? They need to if they want to win. First period. And it's 1-0 Avs. Nice. Ray Bork. Maybe that's a sign of things to come. Shots are 12-8 in favor of the Avs. Second period. And it's 2-0. Good job, Avs. I know your Devils fans are like, I want to win the Stanley Cup, but I mean, you guys won in 2000, so you shouldn't want to take away like Ray Bork's Stanley Cup. But Rob Blake gets the goal to give it a 2-0 lead for the Avs. Shots are 26-19 in favor of them as well. Let's see if they can just lock it down. Hayduk makes it 3-0. This is definitely a good rebound game for Patrick Waugh after letting 7 goals in last game. Rob Blake scores another. Good trade acquisition for the Avs actually that year as well. Like Adam Denmarsh was a good piece going the opposite way, but Adam Denmarsh had a short career because of injury problems. So Turner Stevenson did break Patrick Waugh's shutout, but it is still going to be an easy win for the Avs as they're going to win 5-1 as their offense has actually been pretty good in the last 2 games. They just didn't get really lucky at last game at all. So there's all the goals. Not going to read them all out again. But we will check player stats at the end of the simulation as well. So Rob Blake gets first star with 2 goals. Hayduk gets second star with 3 points. And Patrick Waugh with a good rebound game gets third star with 29 saves. Okay, so it's a 2-1 series. Will the Avs be able to rebound again and win another game? Like, they've scored 5 goals in back-to-back games. Will they be able to score a lot of offensive goals this game as well? And will they be able to keep Alexander Mogilny off the score sheet? Let's head to game number 4 and see if the road team can continue winning this series because it seems like the road team is winning every game. First period, and it's 1-1. Okay, not too bad. Nemchinov scores, so the 37-year-old, and then Nieminen scores. I think that's his second of this playoff round. Shots are 11-10 in favor of the Devils. Second period, and it's 2-1 New Jersey. God damn it, Turner Stevenson. That's a third liner, I think. Shots are 20-19 in favor of New Jersey. Let's see if the Avs could tie it up here, because they need a goal here or else they're going to be down 3-1 in the series. Come on, Colorado, Joe Sakic. There's a goal from Stefan Yell, the third line, tying the game up. It's a big goal from Stefan Yell, who, like I said, wasn't a huge offensive guy, but he was a good role player to have on your team. And it's going to be going to overtime, so this is a crucial overtime. If the Avs score, we'll have a brand new series pretty much. Or if the Devils score, this series might be a bit too much to come back from for the Avs. But then again, the Avs are offensive, and they're really good, so they could come back from a 3-1 deficit. But here we go. Let's see what happens here in overtime. Who is going to score the OT winner? Power play for the Avs. They don't score. Penalty kill for the Avs now. It's back and forth power play chances for both teams. They just keep trading opportunities, and nobody still comes through in that. And then there's a goal from Milan Hajduk to tie the series. That's a crucial goal and a big goal for the Avs to potentially get them that Stanley Cup win this year. So there's all the goals again, but the game winner coming from Milan Hajduk from Rob Blake in Martin School. 3 stars in that game. Niemanen gets first star, playing pretty much like his real self with those 5 hits as well. Patrick Wall gets second star with another great performance, and Stevenson gets third star. Okay, so pretty interesting series so far. It's been kind of back and forth in terms of, the road team always wins games, but I don't know if that will stay true in this game or not. We'll have to find out. So game number 5, will the Avs take a 3-2 series lead despite being down 2-0 at the beginning of the series? Will they be able to win 3 straight games to potentially have a chance to win the Cup in New Jersey? Here we go. In real life, New Jersey won this game, and then they lost on home ice, and then it went to a game 7 where the Avs won, so we'll see. First period, and it's 2-1 New Jersey. Gomez and Pandolfo score, and then Stefan Yell scores another to give it a 2-1 game. So the Avs are right back in this because of that Yell goal. Shots are 14-8 also in favor of New Jersey. Second period, and it's 3-1 Devils. McGinley scores a late goal, which is kind of a backbreaker at this point. Will the Avs be able to come back, or are they going to be having their backs against the wall like they did in real life, where they could lose potentially in New Jersey? And will it go to a Game 7 if that's the case? Holik makes it 4-1, so this game's pretty much going to be going to the Devils, which means next game we could see a Stanley Cup champion, unfortunately, because I want to see Ray Bourque lift the cup potentially. And it's going to be a good offensive game from the Devils as they're going to win 5-1 in Colorado and have a chance to win the Stanley Cup on home ice. So all these goals from the Devils except for Yell's goal. 3 stars in game number 5. Brodeur with a good rebound game gets first star. Pandolfo the second star. And Gomez the third. Okay, so we are headed to game 6. McGinley's still putting up 2 points per game on average. 10 points in 5 games. So that top line's been fantastic for the Devils. It's either that or the power play unit's been fantastic. Let's see what happens here. Will New Jersey win the Stanley Cup, or are we going to see a game 7 situation like we did in real life? Hopefully we see a game 7. We'll go real-time simulation just in case. Actually, yeah, we'll go real-time simulation because there's an elimination potential. Drury's going to score early for the Avs, which is good for them because they need to get those goals early on Brodeur. Because Brodeur is the type of goalie that could kind of shut you out down the stretch of a game. And it's going to be 1-1, I guess, after 1. Yeah, it's going to be 1-1 after 1 as a late goal from Jason Arnott has tied the game. Shots are also tied at 14 apiece. Let's see what happens here in a second. Come on, Colorado. Ray Bourque. There's a goal from Jason Arnott again. He's doing what he did in 2000 with that cup winner. Power play for the Avs. And there's a short-handed goal by Peter Sikora. That's probably the backbreaker. Yep, we're going to see the New Jersey Devils win the Stanley Cup this year, which really sucks. Breland makes it 5-1. Patrick Waugh is not playing good for a 92 overall. Wow, okay. Well, we're going to be intervening shortly to watch this Stanley Cup celebration, which really sucks because Ray Bourque's not going to get that Stanley Cup win. And I know there's probably going to be a bunch of dislikes because of that, but trust me, I wanted Colorado to win as well. So we'll intervene shortly. Yell makes it 5-2, but it's much too late. So I'm going to let you guys watch the rest of this game, even though we're going to see the Devils win. And yeah, I'll see you guys at the end of it with like a little stats recap. So see you guys in a bit.
Puck is dropped and we are back underway. Slides the puck over. Nemes will move the puck behind the net. And a stick in the lane ends that threat. Messier's got the puck. Takes the pass. Way too much congestion blocks that. McGillney's carrying it ahead. Takes the shot. A simple stop with the glove by Aber.
Oh, we all won this in the driveway of our homes, hoisting a pretend Stanley Cup. But there's the real one. What a thing of beauty.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the cup is in the house. All right, we're going to get a goalie change here.
I would say there's some relief here. He's been ventilated tonight. Now he gets to go take a break.
New Jersey's up big time here in the late stages of this third period. Play resumes here as he wins the draw inside the offensive zone. Coming up on the final minute of regulation time. Forces the turnover, comes up with the puck. Puts the puck on net and makes the save.
He's really enjoying the spotlight of being one of the league leaders in goals. You take more responsibility, you have to produce, and he seems to embrace it all.
New Jersey's offense has not been a problem tonight. They put a lot of shots on net and lead it big time late in this third period. Tanguay's got it into offensive territory. Moves it to Bork. Blast from the blue line. Oh, comes up with a stop. The Devils wanted to focus on putting more pucks on net going into tonight's game. They have done just that and then some here in the third. Back underway, and they take possession here inside the offensive zone. Shoots it, comes up with the stop. In front of the net, the goaltender covers up for a whistle on the play.
And no hiding how good he's been in these playoffs. One of the league leaders in points. Really tough to slow him down.
New Jersey's put in one of their most complete efforts that we have seen in quite some time, up big time late in this third. ELIAS brings it in. And now it's over to Danico. Shot right in front. Stick saved by the goaltender. Handles the puck. The Devils gain possession in their own end. Just seconds away now as they are set to hoist the Stanley Cup. That'll do it, and man, oh man, what a special night. What every single one of these players played for, Stanley Cup champions ring.
When they get a close look at this trophy, they'll see all those names engraved on it. And then one day, their name is going to be on it very soon.
Sheer devastation at one end of the ice and champions at the other. They've just won the Stanley Cup, Ray.
Well, they're elated, and they know that in short order, they're going to get to hoist the cup. At the other end of the ice, though, it's an empty feeling. You've given all you had, and it's just not good enough. And there's no way to rescue it.
You know, I still got to give credit. That was a fun run to watch them, even though it came up short.
Maybe they'll enjoy it in time, but right now, it's empty.
An opportunity for a tip of the cap, if you will, for both sides here, Ray.
Yeah, not easy to get through, though, James, because you look at somebody that's just beaten you in a hard-fought series, and you have to say, good game, even if you don't mean it.
Any arguments with your Conn Smythe winner?
In my mind, none. The best player throughout the playoff tournament, I think he should be honored as the Conn Smythe Trophy winner.
When you get called out by the commissioner, this is the one time it's okay for the league office to call you out, isn't it?
It is. What a fantastic celebration every year when you see the first player to get to the trophy just throw it up over his head. How happy they are, how elated they are that it's all over.
Oh, I love this. This is just awesome to watch play out here as they pass the trophy around.
This actually started as an accident, that the trophy was held up for the first time by Ted Lindsay. And then now it's a regular thing. Just think, if that accident hadn't happened, we wouldn't have this great celebration that we see now.
The team picture, this is something that 99 started, did he not?
Yeah, I believe it was his last year in Edmonton where they won, called everybody together. What an unreal photo to have.
So there you guys have it. The New Jersey Devils have won back-to-back Stanley Cups, and Alexander Mogilny will win the Conn Smythe. Oh, that really sucks. I wanted to see the Avs win. Ray Bourque did all he could with those 2 assists in that game, but he just could not get the team the cup. Kind of a realistic simulation, though, because the fact that the Devils actually did have a chance to win the cup in Game 6, but they lost this one, and then it would go to a Game 7 where the Avs dominated. So, yeah, kind of a realistic simulation in that sense. But, yeah, let's get into our statistical recap for the end of this, and then that'll be it for this video. Hopefully this episode is not too long of an episode, because I know all these are usually going over an hour long. So if you are sticking around for the entire thing, I thank you so much for that. But yeah, let's get into the player stats. Really sucks that the Avs lost, though, because I was gonna put the voice from Gary Thorne's thing after 22 years thing for Ray Bourque, but that didn't happen in this, unfortunately. Okay, so Mogilny led with 10 points in 6 games, getting that Conn Smythe. He had actually an amazing playoffs. 9 points for Scott Gomez and 8 points for Bobby Holik. Drury led the way for the Avs with 7 points in 6 games. Ray Bourque played good. Same as Stefan Yell over-simulated quite a bit. But the simulation's pretty random, and sometimes SAKIC only 3 points. Anybody really underperform? Brian RAFALSKI, no points. That's kind of weird. And then Adam Foote only 1 assist. Plus minus wise, REINPRECHT was a -6, so that 4th line for the Avs struggled a lot. And then the best plus minus was that 3rd line, it looks like, in New Jersey, in that top line as well. And then goalie wise, Marty Brodeur was 4-1 with a .910 save percentage and a 2.85, so not too bad, but not too great either. And then Patrick Waugh was horrific. How does a 32 over, or not a 32, a 92 overall play that bad? A 4.15 goals against average and an 877 save percentage. And then David Abisher only played 7 minutes, and he did not allow a single goal. So anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this Stanley Cup Finals rematch from 2001. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Next episode is going to be a little bit something different. It's going to be a gold medal rematch. I'm going to do 2002 between Canada and the United States. And then after that, we'll probably go back to doing Stanley Cup Finals rematches. We might alternate, between these two. So, for the next Stanley Cup Finals rematch, though, which would be after the gold medal rematch, if you guys could let me know any suggestions for ones you want to see, whether that be 1997, 1975, I don't know, just any random year. Just throw it down below in the comments, and I will look through them. So, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.